Cody Gakpo on the left wing has become just as predictable as Iron Robin, but without the unstoppable shot at the end. Every time he gets the ball, you already know what's coming. He wants to cut inside, but Premier League defenders have figured him out and they are ready for it. At the same time, playing Florian Wirtz on the left side and keeping him stuck out wide feels like a waste of his biggest strengths. He is at his best in central areas where he can combine with teammates, find space, and create solutions in tight moments. So this brings up the question that being on almost every Red's mind lately. Why is Rio Ngumoha not getting more minutes, and does he actually deserve them? That is exactly what we are going to answer in today's video. So make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button, and let's jump straight into it. Rio came on in the 96th minute of our second league game against Newcastle, and just 4 minutes later he scored our third and winning goal. It was a calm and composed finish that showed ice-cold blood running through his veins, especially for a 17-year-old. From that moment on, most people expected the teenager to start getting more minutes, not just because of the goal, but because of the huge reputation around him and the strong performances he showed every single time he played for the senior team. Whenever he featured, he looked ready, and in football, age really does not matter. If you are good enough, then you're old enough. However, since that goal against Newcastle, Ngumoha has featured for just 47 minutes in the league, which comes out to an average of around 13 minutes per game. On the surface, those numbers are completely normal for a 17-year-old playing in the most physical league in the world. There is nothing shocking about that. But at the same time, we also need to look at the bigger picture. Rio is not a normal talent. He is arguably one of the top 3 young players in the league right now, without a doubt. We have already pointed out how both Gakpo and Wirtz do not really suit the role of a width-holding left winger, especially against low blocks, which has been one of our biggest problems for a while now. When you put all of that together, Ngumoha's case for at least 1 or 2 starts suddenly feels more than fair. And finally, many supporters, including us, got what we wanted when Rio was given a third start in a cup game against Barnsley. He put in a fairly decent performance, but it might have also given us a small hint as to why Slot has not yet trusted him with a league start. One of Rio's biggest strengths is his dribbling, and there is no debate about that. He has extremely quick feet, great control of the ball, and plenty of tricks that he can pull out at any moment. On top of that, he has that little shimmy or twitch that can send defenders the wrong way without even needing to fully commit. It is very similar to what Doku does, when he moves his right leg and body just enough to sail one direction before bursting into the other. But despite all of these qualities, there are still a few areas in his dribbling that we notice where Rio can improve. First, when he receives the ball out wide and a 1-against-1 is about to happen, notice how he often stops the ball close to his feet with his first touch. This takes away any momentum he could have going into the duel. Instead of attacking the defender while moving, it turns the situation into a static 1-against-1. That small pause also gives the defender time to close the distance, step out, and take away any space Rio might have to work with. You can see the same thing happening again in this clip. From the same game, Rio stops the ball in its tracks, loses his momentum, and once again allows the defender to get tight to him. In most of these moments, Rio still managed to keep the ball and lay it off to a teammate, which shows his awareness and composure. But this was against a 3rd division side in the Premier League against experienced, physical and high-level defenders. Giving them that extra second to close you down will usually end with you losing the ball. So what should the youngster start doing more? Or to put it in a better way, how should Slot and his staff be encouraging him? Rio needs to start taking his first touches towards the defender instead of stopping the ball. He is a winger and he thrives in a 1-against-1 and taking players on. Because of that, he needs to engage defenders as early as possible and build his momentum before they can build theirs. With his first touch, Rio should be driving the ball straight at his opponent, forcing them to drop back and react. Once that happens, he gives himself a chance to dribble past them. These attacking duels are as much about psychology as they are about skill, and if Rio starts attacking defenders with his first touch more often, it will give him a clear edge. And we are not saying that this is something he does not already have in his locker. You can see in this moment against Leeds during a short cameo with his first touch, he goes straight at the defender and immediately puts him on the back foot. He gains momentum, forces the defender to retreat, and then calmly dribbles past him. This is exactly exactly the type of action we want to see more of. Another part of Rio's game that might need some work is his ability to dribble past defenders in both directions. In many moments he chose to cut inside instead of taking his marker on the outside. While that can work at times, it also makes him easier to read. With his smaller frame and still developing physical strength, driving into crowded central areas is not always the best option. This is especially true in the Premier League, and even more so against low blocks, which we face on a regular basis. If Rio can start mixing it up more and threatening defenders on the outside as well, it will make him much harder to stop. Now, these improvements we want to see from Rio, like always taking the initiative, engaging your opponent, and varying your dribbling, can really only be built in two ways. The first is having your manager encourage you to do it, and making it clear that there is no problem with losing the ball when you're being brave. The second is by experiencing these moments at the highest level on a regular basis, and being exposed to the pressure that comes with them. And this is where we have to put some of that blame on Slot. Once again, we understand that Rio is still very young. Most players his age can only dream of being around the senior squad, let alone making the bench and getting a few minutes here and there. But at the same time, especially when you consider everything we mentioned earlier, from Gakpo's performances and Wirtz's use, Rio's development risks hitting a wall if he does not start getting more minutes. Without the game time, it becomes much harder for him to improve the exact parts of his game that we just talked about. We're not asking for Rio to start every single game, that's unrealistic, but there has to be some balance. What most people want to see is a clear plan, a plan that shows trust, patience and belief, and a talent that is clearly special. Rio does not need to be rushed or thrown into impossible situations, but he also does not need to be protected to the point where his development slows down. Football at the highest level is about learning through experience, and some lessons can only be learned on the pitch. Right now, the situation feels stuck in the middle. He is good enough to be around the squad, good enough to come on late, and good enough to start cup games. But when it comes to league football, the door still feels closed. And that is where the frustration comes from, especially when you look at the profiles of players currently starting in his position and the type of games we struggle in. Against low blocks, against deep defenses, and in moments where we lack directness, Rio feels like a natural option to at least try. So instead of giving him 2 or 3 or 5 minutes in games where we struggle to score against tight defenses, maybe he now deserves to get 15 minutes or even more. Of course, giving him more minutes does not mean guaranteed success. He will lose the ball, he will make mistakes, there will be a game where things do not come off. But this is a part of the process, especially for a winger who plays on instinct and confidence. Those moments are not failures, they are steps forward. In the end, this is not about hype or fan pressure, but more about development and timing. Rio has shown enough to earn more opportunities, even if they come in small steps. A start here, extended minutes there, and real trust when the situation fits. If handled correctly, this could be the season where Rio takes that next step, and that is something that benefits not just him, but the whole team. So what do you guys think? Has Rio reached the stage where he needs to get more minutes in order to accelerate his development, or is the fanbase being oversensitive, expecting a teenager to bring solutions when he's not yet ready to make an impact? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and also feel free to suggest any topics you want to hear. We'll do our best to bring you whatever you want on this channel. And until next time, take care, peace.